Hey Dreamers, I'm Joe Pardo, and I just startled Ava, I think, a little bit there. I'm Joe Pardo, and this is, of course, the Dreamers podcast. Of course, always I got Matt with him, with me, with Ava, with Matt, with Joe, everybody in the studio here, here for the Dreamers podcast pre-show. Matt, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I just got done celebrating my dad's 60th birthday.
Oh man, it was his 60th birthday?
60th birthday.
I was wondering why everybody was making a big deal about it.
So it was a lot of fun. A lot of my relatives drove in from New York and some other places, and we had a great time. I had barbecue, a lot of good conversations. I actually saw a couple relatives that hardly ever come out, and in fact, one of them but lives not that far from where I work. And I think I might even stop and see him over the next couple of weeks, because it'd be good chance to catch up with him. And with so many people there, you only have so much. It's like working a crowd. You talk to this end for 2 minutes, and like, oh, I gotta go over here and talk to this person. So it was a whole thing, but it was a great time. Everybody had fun, and so it all worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it. We had a different party to attend, and then we also had Ava, of course, being watched, and then we actually ended up using some of that time to go to Target so we could get a couple things. Yeah. It was like a real parent moment. That it's like, oh, we have a babysitter for like 4 hours. We gotta jump on this and go to Target.
In case of emergency, break glass. There's like a little list part, pops out
of things that you need to go buy at Target.
Exactly.
Yes, or well, really any store, But yeah, so that's awesome. I'm glad you had a good time, and glad you were able to be there, given that you usually work Saturdays.
Well, I do, and so I got there a little bit late, but still, I had a great time. I wish I could have been there longer, and I thought people were going to be staying over, which they didn't wind up doing that, but still we made the most of the time we had.
Yeah, so this week on Dreamers Podcast, I have an interview with Pol Cousineau. It's a French Canadian name, Cousineau, who is of the Spiritual Voice podcast. Really great show. Got to be on it a little while back. Had a great time. You should go listen to it. If you go to superjoepardo.com/interviews, I think it is. I think that's the address. You can go back and listen to the episode I was on his show, and now he's on the Dreamers podcast, and it'll be later on in this episode. Of course, Matt, we are, it's Monday. This episode comes out on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m., and we are, of course, live streaming the pre-show on Facebook Live. So if you're not following me on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Pardo Joe, all one word. Just hit that follow button, and then you can go scroll down to this video, where one of my Facebook live streams, and click the subscribe button. I think it's just like live subscribe or something like that. Anyway, it's in the video. It's in like the top right hand corner of this video. I'd point, but I don't want to, or I think it'd be like this way. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't flip the video on me. So follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Pardo Joe. The other thing that we got to talk about is the 2-year anniversary of Dreamers Podcast coming up very, very soon, actually. When is it? May 20th, Friday, May 20th. We're celebrating here. We should be on Facebook Live. We'll be on Blab. If you go to superjoepardo.com/live, that's where you can get all the information. There will be the live feed will be there from Blab. We'll be having people call. You'll be able to call in right on Blab. We'll have people here in the studio. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure that Rich Quick will be here in the studio performing at some point throughout the night. It's 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be raising money for Give Kids the World. They are a wonderful organization that takes children with life-threatening illnesses, and they take them and their family down to Disney World in Orlando, and they get to go to Disney World and Universal and SeaWorld for a week, and they get to just be kids, and that's really, what more could you ask for? So last year in 2 hours, and I didn't even realize this, Matt, But last year we only did the live show for a little. I think it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something to that effect. And we raised $600 in just over 2 hours for Give Kids the World. Now, this year, we're going to do 3 hours, and we're going to do more games, more minute-to-win-it games. And for every minute-to-win-it game, I'm personally donating $10 for every completed minute-to-win-it game. So if you want to join in, you go to superjoepardo.com/live. You get the Blab link there. You can watch it there. Or you can jump in and call in and compete for my money, for my approval and my love and my $10. Yes. And we'll be donating to Give Kids the World that way. So really looking forward to it. Like I said, we have a bunch of surprises, previous guests, not old guests. Of the Dreamers podcast. Like I said, probably a performance by Rich Quick. He performed last year. It was a lot of fun getting to see him, and he's just off of his tour in the UK. So it's good to get him back in the studio to talk about that experience. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, that's May 20th. Make sure you check it out. So. So last week when you were here, we were going over some names for my third book. It'll be third book in less than 2 years. And I think that what my third book is going to be about, it's going to be a business book, right? Based on the science of processes for business, right? So we all work in our businesses or even our own jobs, right? And we're too close to this situation. We think that we have the best, we're doing it the best way that we know possible, the best way that we're aware can exist. But the thing is there's always a better way. So I want to write a book that basically talks about how we could take these core philosophies when it comes to building processes that I've built in my family's business that was highly successful and very lucrative, and take those core values and the foundations of those and apply them so that, and it's going to be a challenge for me too, because I want to make it so that it's broad enough but yet specific enough to actually be helpful, but broad enough to apply it in maybe even more business, more than just business ways. So I don't have an official name for the book, but Matt and I don't want to necessarily give it away, but Matt and I sat down and he helped me hash out some names for this book, and I'm really looking forward to putting those fingers to keys, as they say.
Yeah, if any of those potential titles or anything to go by, it's going to be an exciting book. I mean, we spent quite a bit of time trying to hash out a catchy title, but also informative. It's tough to get that perfect combination of, because most people's attention span, they're going to look at it, and if it's not good enough, they're just going to scroll right down to the next book on the list. So, we went back and forth, and Joe's big thing was that he didn't want anything that came off as negative. Nothing would say, well, you're doing it wrong, and here's why. It's just, here's the way that is proven to be successful and draws from his personal experience and is easy to follow, and something that you can apply not to just business, but also your day-to-day life, personal life, social life, what have you. And I'm excited because Joe's last two books are great, and I think that with each successive book, he's managed to build on what came before, and as an author, better refine his material. It just continues to grow as Joe grows, as he does this podcast and follows his other endeavors.
Yeah, no, thank you for the compliments, Matt. It's definitely I definitely want it to be a book that pops and a book that really, really makes a statement, right? My first two books, with 31 Life-Changing Concepts, it was more of here's Joe in book form, something out of the mind of Joe, if you will. And with the second book, How to Dream Big and Win, it was all about how do I basically take this talk that I've put together over the course of a year and turn that into a book and expand upon it with my own experiences, not just things that I've read, not just things, the culmination of like what's worked for me to get to where I am at this point. And it's funny that the things that I did, and I've done more than just the last big accomplishment that I had at the company before I departed. And a lot of it involves, bringing technology into play and doing the research to find something else, to find a better way of doing what you're already doing. Because what you think you're doing the best at is probably not necessarily the best way to do it. It's just the way that you know and the way that you feel is the best way to do it because you've been doing it so long. It doesn't make it wrong, but I want people to be able to take themselves out of the business, right? It's like everybody's like, oh, you're working in your business or you're working on your business. And you really want to be working on your business unless you have to be working in your business. When it comes to building those processes, that's what those things are. Like, you're trying to get it so that things are automated. Things are, if something doesn't fit the mold of like one of the processes that you already have in place, that's fine. You need a process to handle those things. That's like, there needs to be protocol that's like, okay, well, we need to get, it just is like, oh, well, this doesn't fit into anything that's already, we've already defined, so we'll just throw it into a folder, and then the folder gets just kind of locked away in a drawer with other folders of things that we don't know what to do with. There has to be a protocol to make that stuff work. And that's really what I want to touch on with the book and really drive home. And I feel like I can really help a lot of people in that respect when it comes to their businesses, and not just with that, but also with their own lives. Because you can take what I'm talking about and apply it to the things that you do on a regular basis. So that's really the goal with this book. And yeah. So it took a little while to come up with where I wanted to head in the next direction, and I think that is a solid thing that I could talk about and really help people with. So I'm glad that I finally landed on it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's great. The fact that you managed to crank out 3 books in 2 years is it's pretty impressive, especially considering your schedule. You're always so busy.
Yeah, it's tough, man. But I really want to I'd like to get at least 2 books done this year. But I also have the card game that I've been building that I've been teasing about. And it's sitting here on my desk, and after playtesting it in my mind, I really need to start investing some energy in getting that done, because that's going to be like way harder and longer of a process than writing a 3rd book. That's for sure. So yeah, look forward to both a game and a 3rd book. I'm hoping for this year, but we'll see, because I still have the conference in September. Have some other big things coming up too, including some speaking engagements and stuff like that I'm working on. So it's definitely there's a lot going on that front. So speaking of speaking engagements, for anybody who didn't see, I'm speaking at the Kittypreneur Weekend in Freehold, New Jersey. It's let me see here. Where's it at? It is June 10th to the 12th, and I'm specifically speaking on June 12th. So if you go to, what's the website here? Because they have like 2 websites. For tickets, you go to Kittypreneur, like entrepreneur, .com. Or you can send an email to info@justforyou, and then the number 4, the letter U, expo.com. Yeah. So that's where you get your tickets, at kittypreneur.com. It's actually one of the guest speakers is a lady who has been on Tyler Perry's House of Pain, and she's also on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, which is pretty cool. That I'll be speaking alongside her, and a whole bunch of other people, and they're actually going to be doing their own mock Shark Tank there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. With I think the kids have like 30 seconds to pitch their ideas to a panel of
Well,
investors.
that'll be interesting to see what they come up with, because it seems like these days, I see more and more, like the younger generation going out there and coming up with innovative ideas. And yeah, what was the name of that young chef you interviewed? Michael, was it?
Oh no, it was Andrew.
Andrew,
I hit the mic. Andrew Zapley. There's actually a picture of him up
I thought that
there.
was impressive. At that age, he's already learned so much about cooking. It's like, wow. I mean,
An accomplished chef. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing when you do it. Some motivation.
But yeah, motivation and time and yeah, definitely. So, as well as Logan Guloff he won season 2 of MasterChef Junior, has been on the show as well. So yeah, I think that there's a huge amount of possibility there for when it comes to kids doing something, especially with the YouTube and Google and being able to like basically supercharge your learning. I think it's really important that kids are able to have access to that and they can find their passion so much quicker and get so much more accomplished than we would have been just 15 years ago.
I think too, at that age, kids haven't run to that. It's more of an adult mindset where it's, here's all the reasons why something can't be done. It's just like, hey, here's something I want to do. I have no idea why it couldn't be done, so I'm not even going to think about that. I'm just going to think about what I need to do to get this accomplished or created.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like we talked about the other day, like you can't just sit there and spitball on a Sunday afternoon about how things aren't going to work.
Right.
You need to like actually sit down and figure out what it is that can make it work, and then figure out the questions that you need answered and the problems that you have to solve, and then start researching each of those. And that stuff, that can take time. Research and development can take years to like get the answers or create solutions that didn't exist before for these problems that might not have existed before.
Right.
Before you started to do the research to try to be like, oh, I'm going to come up with the solution. You come up with 5 problems along with that solution, and then you got to find a solution for those problems, and you come up with 5 more problems for each of those, and it's like it's a process of digging in a hole and then digging out into another hole and another hole and another hole, and then digging your way back out and up until you have a connected solution that solves the issue that you were trying to originally solve. So check that out. Tickets are on sale. I think it's like $100 or $80 or something for the whole weekend, and definitely a lot to be learned if you have a kid that is looking to be an entrepreneur and have inventions made or something to that effect. So let's see, one thing I've learned, Matt, with having this little girl here who gets to sleep whenever she wants to sleep. Like right now here in my arms, is before she was born, I've been able to work on very little sleep, right? Like some nights it's 4 hours, some nights it's 5, sometimes it's 6, 7, 8, but it didn't bother me. Now I'm getting about the same amount of hours of sleep, but it bothers me, and the reason it bothers me is because I've been fortunate enough that since I've been working from home, I've been able to go to sleep when I want and then wake up when I want, I usually am up before 8 o'clock anyway, but the point is, I was working on my own sleep cycles, right? So I would just go to sleep and then I'd wake up naturally rather than in the middle of the night after I've only had like an hour of sleep, she starts crying and then I'm up. And now I've woken up in the middle of a sleep cycle. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, sleep cycles are running an hour and a half. If you want to take like a power nap, it's suggested that it's like 20 minutes because it takes you 20 minutes just to start into like really get into that sleep cycle of an hour and a half. So it can take up to an hour and 50 minutes to get one full sleep cycle, starting from zero, like starting from being fully awake. And I actually have an app, and I've promoted this app before on this show called Sleepy Time. Excuse me, sleepyti.me or something like that. Where basically it's a calculator where it does that hour and a half splits. It tells you like, hey, if you're going to go to sleep right now, here's the hours that you should wake up. Like, here's one sleep cycle, 2, 3, 4. Now you could do the math in your head, but I mean, not all of us are mathematicians to be really good at that. So I think the app's like $1 or $2 or something like that. But it's been really, really good. I really love it. And it's been great to be able to wake up on my own and I feel refreshed, even if it's only 2 sleep cycles versus I got about 1 and then I woke up in the middle of the 2nd sleep cycle and now I'm groggy and too much stuff and too much time passes by that I can't go back to sleep. And it's been really tough for me to get this, to get the work in that I need, like the creative work, the work that requires me to like really be thinking rather than just like, oh, it's busy work. I can like click, check a few things and then, but even like things like responding to emails. Like if you're grouchy, right? Now I was just reading this article, Matt, and you deal with a lot of email at your job, right?
Oh yeah.
So it they did this thing where it's like, what's the best way? Excuse me, I'm already losing my voice. What's the best way to respond to emails? And basically, it goes back to what we were saying the other day about extremism. You don't want your email, you want it to be short and to the point, but you want it to be either super angry or super happy, like obnoxiously happy. If you fall into the middle, apparently there's like a void there where people don't respond or just become unresponsive to your emails.
I never heard that before. I guess for me it's a little bit different in that, I mean, I do try to keep my emails short to the point, definitely, because I figure if it's something where it's going to take several paragraphs to explain, I might as well just pick up the phone and call the person, because otherwise I'm wasting more time trying to type it out. But I don't really think I put a really overly happy or overly negative spin on emails, although the ones we tend to see do tend to fall in one of those 2 categories, depending on like, well, I talked to 500 people and they told me blah, 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 and, and now I'm going to talk to you guys too, it makes me really upset. Like, so there's a lot of that going on, but, I mean, for me, I'd say most of the ones that my group sends out tend to be just, very professional. We keep it, keep it professional, but also keep it short. Unless it's someone that we happen to know or someone that, we're on a pretty familiar basis with, yeah, you'll some more personal details and a couple of jokes here and there, but otherwise, there's so many coming in here just trying to kind of like knock them out, like an assembly line essentially. It's like, all right, on to the next one. This one's in the works. You don't want to keep anybody waiting, but at the same time, I just don't really feel the need to put too much thought into like how it sounds tone wise, because a lot of that stuff is just inferred anyway. It's like a text message. You can't say.
It's hard to read sarcasm.
Yeah, right. Or you're really grumpy when you sent that text message. Well, there's no tone to it.
Well, in your head there is, and that's the problem.
But people interpret it differently. I mean, if obviously you're reading a book, it's a lot easier within a couple sentences to describe an emotion. But most text messages, can be most abbreviations anyway. So I think it really depends on the person's mind frame. And an email, I feel, is the same way. Like, you could read any email as coming across as negative or sarcastic if that's where your head's at.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in a bad mood, you're going to project that onto the person that's emailing you and everything that they say.
You have a good weekend. Oh, okay.
So it's been really tough for me though to like really zone in and power through the not just the lack of sleep but the lack of like quality hours. For me it's been painful, very painful. But this past weekend I did get like 6 hours worth of work in all at once, the way I like it, which isn't very normal at this point. Though I have only just started working. I think last week was my first week of actually doing like regular work here in the studio. So, which is good. It feels good to get back. It feels good to get back into like the swing of things. And even though I'm still like slowed down and tired, I feel like I could power through this. I feel like I'm going to make it. And it also is going to help once I actually, right behind me, if you're watching on Facebook Live, actually you can't really see it, but if I move my head a little bit, you can see that I have an elliptical here in my office, and I just finally, it's been broken for a while, but I was still using it. It was like every time you went around on the elliptical, it was like clunk, clunk, clunk. It was because like there was a screw loose.
Passers-by could tell you were exercising.
Yeah, put it out. Yeah, outside by the street, people could tell I was exercising inside just by the clunking going on. So I went to Home Depot this morning and got a bolt. It took like 5 minutes. I put it in. Took like another 5 minutes. Should have did it a long time ago, but now it's smooth. It works fine. And then when it breaks again, I have a spare one because I had to buy a pack of 2. Anyway, what was I gonna say? What I'm going to be trying to do is get back into doing the elliptical and running when it's a little bit nicer. It's been like really not nice out like the past while. We get a couple days here and there, and then it gets back to being like really like just not nice out. So looking forward to that. Not that I have any races planned in the near future, but I'd like to be ready when the time comes, and I would love the extra energy rather than drinking coffee, which I don't drink. Do you drink coffee, Matt?
I don't drink coffee, but I drink other caffeine substitutes. For example, energy drinks and just mainly energy drinks. I try and stay away from like consuming like donuts and some of the other sugar, some of the junk that's out there. But energy drinks, all that stuff, none of that stuff's good for you. Really, you should just be drinking water, and that's pretty much it. We had a discussion earlier about like orange juice and milk and just how bad that stuff is for you.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna get to that because one of the things I put out the other day was that marketing is a bunch of bull poop, and it really 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 is. And apparently a couple people on Facebook were not too happy. They were like, hey, I was a marketing major, and I get that. That's cool, but marketing for the most part is mostly poop. So I wanted to use one example, and I wasn't expecting to have Ava here in my arms, but so I'm not going to go get the boxes and all that. But one example of this was the fact that Matt, if in your opinion, right, if you have 2 boxes of cereal in front of you, and one is like Honey Nut Cheerios, and the other one is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Well, first of all, which one's more delicious?
I'd have to go with Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh yeah, I agree. And even with all of the recipe changes over the years, that one has actually stayed very, very good. Unlike most cereals from our childhood that got really not good, once they changed their recipes to less sugar and all this. But I'm not even talking about from like the aspect of healthiness, right? Like that's a topic for another day. I'm not like a health coach or advisor or anything like that, so you can make up your own mind on that. But my point is that they spend a ton of marketing on these types of cereals to make you think that even the ones that are like clearly it's like 90% marshmallow. It's still good for you, right?
Wait, so you're saying they're not part of a balanced breakfast?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't even know what breakfast is supposed to look like, because like everything we eat for breakfast is pretty much horrible for us.
I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to consist of large amounts of sugar, but with either of those cereals that you mentioned, that's basically what you're getting. Yeah,
so it's okay. So the thing is, what I'm challenging people to do is go and just look at the sugar content of what it is that you're eating, right? So like, you take those 2 cereals. Which one do you think has more sugar in it?
I would say Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Right, because it tastes better.
I feel like that's the wrong answer, but
it is. The right answer is they both have the same exact amount of sugar in it.
Really?
Both 9 grams per 3/4 cup of cereal. Now I don't know about you, but I'm not measuring my cereal.
No, can't say I ever have, unless the measurement goes by bowl.
No, it doesn't, and I'm sure that 3/4 cup is not nearly as much as you think it is, because it's not. So my point is you have these 2 cereals. One is like it's heart healthy, blah 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 blah, but at the end of the day, it still has the same amount of sugar as the one that's not meant for kids. or the one that is meant for kids, you know, quote unquote kids. Not to say that I don't have Cinnamon Toast Crunch in my cupboard, because I do. And again, I'm not debating the nutritional aspect of it or anything like that. But when it comes to milk, right? Like, they've spent a ton of money in marketing to be like, got milk? Milk, it does a body good. Blah, blah, blah. Milk, you know, makes you shoot rainbows out of your mouth or something. You know, they spend all this money, and at the end of the day, has anybody, and I challenge you to go look at your milk carton, you know, or plastic container, because carton, I should just say glass of milk, or the bottles of milk from the old days. Look at the sugar content. It's got 12 grams of sugar inside your milk per 8 fluid ounces. Now, most cups are like 16, right? Or like 12 to 16. So if you fill up a full glass of milk, right off the bat, you're getting like upwards of 16 grams of sugar just in that one glass.
Yeah,
but it doesn't go out any good, Matt. It doesn't go out any good.
Well, combined with the, you know, like the bad carbs you're getting from the cereal, that's just, you know, producing fat. Not the good kind of fat, so it's really not doing the body any good.
So okay, so if you look at the health side of things, like I want to stay away from it,
Okay.
but at the same time, like, the World Health Organization suggests, take a guess at how much sugar they suggest you should intake a day, and it's actually was lowered not that long ago.
I think like 4 grams. Is that?
Oh no, it's way higher than that.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's way higher than that.
Let's say 12.
Okay, no, wrong. So if you're a woman of, and I don't have the number, the weight, like the weight size in front of me. Oh wait, you know what? Here it is, right here. Let me just click over here. I gotta switch hands. The maximum amount that you should be eating a day as a man would be 37.5 grams. Now here in America, right? We don't even know what grams is. Like, what is a gram, right?
That's a hell of a lot of sugar. I mean, come on.
Well, 37.5 is and it isn't. So it's 9 teaspoons, right? For women, they're saying 25 grams or 6 teaspoons. So you just take that breakfast example, right? And you look at that and you're like, okay, so let's just say you had 2 cups of cereal, because I didn't actually pour it out into a thing and measure it, but so you're at 18 grams plus like around 12. So I'm not a mathematician. Help me out here. Is that 30 or 40? 18 plus 12, so 0. That's 30. Well, if you're a woman, then you're already 5 grams over your daily intake of sugar for the day, just in having that breakfast, one bowl of cereal with maybe a side of milk, right? And that doesn't even include if you had chocolate milk, like this guy over here, like this guy. So that's a lot. But again, not trying to drive home the whole health aspect of it, more so about the whole like the marketing point of view.
Is misleading.
Yeah. Oh, another great example is those little snack packs. Like, I'm sure you've given them to your niece.
100-calorie snack pack.
Yeah, it's 100 calories. But here's the thing: there's enough sugar in that if you had 2 little snack packs, fruit snacks. Sorry, thank you, Melissa. 2 fruit snack packs. You just ate a whole Starburst pack.
Well, there's definitely enough sugar in there to get them wired up, because I'll say she goes from like, oh, I'm tired after school to like shot out of a cannon after eating one of those 100-calorie snack packs.
But the thing is they promote them as, oh, well, they got all these vitamins and nutrients in them, right? And the thing is yeah, they might, but here's the truth of the matter is they don't need all those extra nutrients, because as long as they're eating a balanced diet, all they're really giving them is a shot of sugar, like in the arm.
Right, ideally if they were eating a balanced diet, they'd be getting all these nutrients anyway, therefore negating the need for
Even remotely
vitamins.
close to a balanced diet. Like,
Right.
nobody's perfect, but as long as you're not, like, eating cardboard for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're probably getting some kind of nutrients, even from these things that are giving you extra nutrients, which in some cases can be worse for you. So, again, not trying to drive that whole health aspect home, though I want, dreamers and everybody to be as healthy as we can. We're not perfect. Look, I just told you I had Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the cupboard. It's fine. It's all about moderation, whatever. But my point is the marketing, it tells you that this is just like an apple a day. Oh, it keeps the doctor away. But the thing is, who made that up?
The Apple industry.
Yeah, the Apple industry. There you go. I mean, so right now, like, to fight that marketing aspect, right? They're actually constantly lobbying to not change the nutrition labels on the back of products. Not that anybody's really reading them anyway. I mean,
if somebody is dieting, that's something you have to pay very close attention to.
You should, because even those things that are like, oh, it's just like chicken and blah blah blah. Like, yeah, it's chicken with a ton of sodium and a ton of sugar, like laced in sugar. The reason, crap. What was I going with this?
You're saying that the companies behind these products are lobbying not to.
Oh, change the labels, right? Thank you, man. And I appreciate you picking up what I'm putting down. So, because they want to change the label to show how much sugar is added to each product that you're buying, right? Because it's like, oh, orange juice, yeah, oranges have like natural sugar, and it's like, no, they are like pumping sugar in that by the fistful because to get that taste of like, oh, that's what orange is supposed to taste like, but it's not. Go make real orange juice. It's not easy. I hate peeling stuff.
Yeah,
I've done it. It tastes great, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, you take a bite out of an orange and compare it to a glass of orange juice. It's nowhere near as sweet.
Right. And the reason is, and for anyone who doesn't know, is because they need orange juice to have a shelf life. In order to do that, they remove the oxygen. So they remove the oxygen from from the oranges, and then they have to pump a chemical into it to make it taste like orange again. And then they add sugar to pump up that taste. So Florida's natural, whatever. No, it's all marketing poop. It just makes you feel good inside, but it doesn't. And the whole vitamin C thing is a bunch of malarkey too, because you already get a ton of vitamin C and a lot of other things that you're eating. And there's actually no proof that actually stops you from being sick.
Or, with like diet soda, it's like, oh, well, it's diet soda, so it's not as bad for me. It's just as bad because your body can't tell the difference. It's going to produce the same amount of fat because it's like, it seems like sugar to me.
Yeah, and it does. And who was it? I saw a quote saying something like, I've never seen a skinny person drinking diet soda.
I applaud anybody making an effort to diet and lose weight, but you really got to be careful because there's so many misleading. It's low fat or it's diet this, but it's 100 calories. It's not. You really got to take a look at those labels because the marketing, as you said, is so misleading. It's all garbage.
It is, and it's a shame because look, Matt, you and I grew up in a time where marketing and commercialism was just starting to really take off, right, to a level of like no coming back that we hadn't seen in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Like in the 80s, there was the decade of more and excessive. So this. Really, like we were just getting in the beginning of it, and we now we have these fruit snacks. Everything's easier. Everything's supposed, and even the word organic doesn't mean anything. Like we got organic milk the other day, and that had just as much sugar in it as normal milk.
Yeah, because you can literally pretty much label anything organic because there's really no set definition for it.
Right, but you know what the definition is? Sell it for more. It sells for more money. So again, it all goes back into marketing, and that's just one example, right? Like again, I don't want to harp on the whole health thing because I'm not that guy. I mean, I do run races, but I'm doing that so I can eat more ice cream and so that I can enjoy life a bit outside of that.
Hey, at least you're honest, right?
Yeah, look, I'm not a health nut by any stretch. Clearly, the physique of a non-health nut for sure. But when it comes to marketing with food, you really, even checking the labels is enough. Like I said, because they're lobbying to stop the FDA from changing the labels to show you how much sugar they have to add to that apple. Or not to the apple, but to like that apple juice, or it's like, oh, it's got natural sugar in it. Like, no, it does, but not like to the level that you're drinking it, or the level that they're pumping into it. And they want to keep that from you because they want you to get that. It doesn't feel friendly and happy and give you the fuzzies if they're like, oh yeah, we pumped in like 10 grams of that 11 grams of sugar per 8 fluid ounces, right? It's like, oh, what am I drinking? What would this taste like if it didn't have any sugar in it added at all? And there's always ways around that, right? Like the whole labeling of like, even the ones that say no sugar added, there's ways around that by using other chemicals that aren't considered quote unquote sugar but are sugar, to make it sound like your body can't tell the difference with sugar. So there's always ways around it. They're always looking for ways around it, and they're always looking for ways to market it to you, the consumer, that this is the best thing for you.
Yeah, you can't avoid every negative bit of marketing out there, but if you take the time to do some research and purchase carefully, at least you can mitigate some of the more harmful effects.
It's tough.
Just don't take anything on the box at face value.
Oh, definitely not. And we wonder why we're in a state of everybody's got diabetes in America. Like, this is the the because the sugar industry can just do what they want, and we've just allowed it because it tastes good. So what are you gonna do? If God didn't want me to eat this, then it wouldn't taste good. Like, it's as simple as that. It's just like if people were meant to fly, we'd all have wings. Oh man. So that's my, just one example of marketing is a bunch of poop. And you have to really think for yourself out there. And I would think that most people listening, to the Dreamers podcast like to think for themselves, go do the research. Like, I'm not spewing a bunch of conspiracy, hoopla over here. This is like, go do the research. It's very, it's all out there. And actually, I misquoted. The amounts that I got for the sugar intakes were actually from the American Heart Association. I think actually the World Health Organization is a lot lower. I think they've lowered theirs to like that 25 grams a day, which again, like one glass of orange juice could kill that for you. One glass of something that you believe to be healthy for you will knock that sugar intake out of whack for the entire day. And of course, everything changes. Everything's always subject to change. That's what research is all about, and doing the research and all that. So go do the research. Think for yourself. Again, just one example. I think we're at 43 minutes, Matt. I had 2 other topics. My voice is getting pretty shot already.
I think we've done it. We can save it for next week. I don't want to.
Yeah, what's funny is these 2 topics were from last week. I pushed them to this week, but that's okay. It'll give me a jumping point for next week.
It's like cell phone minutes; they just roll over every month.
It would just keep rolling. I got a whole a list of 70 items that I want to get to at some point when it comes to business and living your life and living your dreams and all that. So. We'll get there for sure, but I think the big thing this week is get sleep on sleep cycles. Getting 3 hours is fine if you get it in a consecutive 3 hours or an hour and a half and an hour and a half. I know I've been fine with that. Not everybody can be fine with that, and that's not to say that I could do that for like days on end, right? Like I could do it for 1, 2, maybe 3 days, but by day 4, like I'm getting worn out. I know, Matt. I know you don't get a lot of sleep most of the time.
Not for lack of trying. Yeah, I just have a hard time. Well, for me, I have a hard time staying asleep, and that's something I've always kind of struggled with. As soon as I wake up, I have a real hard time getting back to sleep. And I've tried different things, and one of the things I found to be the most effective is like just a brief bout of exercise. You just get up, do like a quick jog, and then usually it's enough to kind of just, at least for me, to knock me back out.
To burn that energy that you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously, I just came out of nowhere, like, oh, now I'm wide awake, and it's only 2 o'clock in the morning, so got a ways to go.
Yeah. I would, I've done that too. Like, waking up earlier, and then going and doing something, right? Like going and getting a couple tasks done, and then
not watching TV, not
yeah.
Anything electronic, that is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, it is. Well, actually, with the new update, iOS 9.3, they've included a nighttime mode for your phone where it actually takes the blue colors out of the phone. Like it changes the temperature of the colors on the phone so that you can look at your phone, because you're not supposed to look at blue light like an hour or 2 hours before you go to bed, from what I've read. And I've noticed the difference with being able to go back to sleep after using my phone using their nighttime mode. So if you just swipe up from the bottom, I think it's the middle icon on the bottom, and you can actually set it to a schedule. So mine starts at like 10 p.m. and goes till I think like 7 in the morning or 6. Now it definitely looks different, and you can actually change, I think, the temperature as well. If it's almost like a red hue that you get. If that bothers you, you can change it a little bit. But so far for me, I've loved it. I think it's great. I've been able to look at my, wake up, check a couple emails, and then fall right back to sleep without like feeling like my eyes are getting burned in or anything like that. Even with the brightness set all the way down at night, like I would still feel that way. It's even at night, like with the brightness all the way down, it still feels bright in a totally dark room. Unless you're trying to watch a video or something where it's like you want to see the colors and all that. But yeah, so I would definitely check that out if you have an iPhone. If not, I know there's an Android app equivalent that can run in the background and do it for you. I don't know what it is, what's the name of it or anything like that, but it's definitely out there. So yeah, so let's wrap up. Like, so I got plenty of things to plug, right? So I'm speaking in Freehold, New Jersey at Kittypreneur Expo. It's kittypreneur.com. You can go get tickets there if you have a child who is doing entrepreneurial like things or wants to learn more or pitch like they're on Shark Tank. That's this place to be. It's in Freehold, New Jersey, and it's June. I think it was June 10th to the 12th. On May 20th is the live show. It's the 2-year anniversary of Dreamers Podcast. We're raising. I'm hoping to raise over $1,000 in 3 hours. We did $600 into last year for Give Kids the World. Great organization. GiveKidsTheWorld.org. Go check it out. And coming up in a little bit after the jump is Pol. I'm going to say his name wrong. Cousineau. Pol Cousineau of the Spiritual Voice podcast. So, yeah, it's been fun, Matt. It's been fun talking about how marketing sucks and how we need to be, inadvertently, we need to live a better life healthy and sleeping-wise. And, yeah, I guess I'll talk to you next week, Matt.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And Ava's still sleeping, so we made it through this whole episode with her. Sleeping right through it.
Rock on.
I'm glad that, yeah, just sleep on, girl. Just sleep tonight. That's what that's all I could ask. All right. I guess we'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned for the interview with Pol Cousineau.
She's like practically curled up into a ball. She's halfway there.
Is she?
Like, I can just,
oh yeah,
she is. A little bit further.
Yeah, she
I
is.
can assume bowl for him.
Oh man. Well, this has been fun. For anybody who's still watching,
Eat more sugar. That's
no,
Start
eat
listening.
no, but you can
Dunkin'
eat
Donuts.
sugar. That's fine. That's
You know,
not the
stocking
problem.
Dunkin' Donuts. You know what? You should eat more sugar.
You know, just know. You know, my point is know what you're eating, right? But that's just in the, in that case with the whole marketing thing. It's in everything.
You'd be surprised, like some of the junk that's in there. It's food you just take for granted. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, until I started actually looking at what I was consuming, it's like, oh, I feel kind of gross, like eating all this stuff that I just assumed was healthy because.
But we didn't even get into one can of soda having pretty much your whole daily intake of sugar.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny to stop and think about it.
Yeah. So
Nobody's stopping one can of soda.
probably not. But that's okay, as long as you're doing something to work it out. But
We don't want to preach. We just, want
yeah. Yeah, it's not about that.
take some initiative and just, double check.
Just
yourself.
look, do the research. Do the research for yourself. That's all that I could ask of anybody, because these marketers they're just trying to make their money. And, they got bills to pay too, man, and selling you a product that is potentially killing you. And we didn't. I mean, that the whole sugar thing. I could go down a whole road, and anybody that's still watching, let's check out Fed Up. That's a documentary all about the sugar cartel and how they just try to run everything when it comes to food. I mean, they're even doing it here in Philly, right? So they want to increase the they want to do a Philly. They're calling it the Philly grocery tax. But what it is basically all sugar drinks, all drinks that have sugar. For every ounce that you buy, it's going to have a 3-cent tax. And the problem with that is it's not just sodas, right? So it's pretty much everything, because everything that you buy is sugar except for the water, for water.
Yeah.
And the idea is that they're worried that it's going to affect people negatively, because it could take something that's $1 and turn it into a $3 item with that tax. Which seems a bit excessive, right? I'm all for taxing, soda, honestly, but 3 cents an ounce adds up quick when you're buying 2-liter bottles of soda at a time. That's a lot, You add 3 cents to every dollar or something like that, so it's okay, so no longer is it, on $1 2-liter bottle, it's $1.03. No one's gonna bat an eye at that. And they're probably still going to make a ton of money. You know what I mean? They're still going to bring in that tax. But then what they're worried about is it's funny because they call it the grocery tax, right? But at the bottom it clearly says that it's paid for by the National Beverage Association or something like that. So it's okay, so it's not grocery tax. It's just the beverages, but they want you to believe that this is just groceries, right? But that's because groceries sounds, oh no, they're gonna tax the food that I eat now, oh no, but so the thing was that wasn't enough. So now they have this new commercial, and this new commercial is, and I feel for them, right? They're a business that's it's only Philadelphia, and that's the kicker, right? So you can't charge 3 cents an ounce on sugary drinks and only do it within the city limits, right? Now, because here's the problem. You have businesses, and in this commercial, they show a business that's look, here's my problem. People will go up the road 2 extra miles to get outside the city limits and buy soda that's going to be way cheaper without this tax. Mm-hmm. So people inside the city limits, in the center city, in the really in the city, in the thick of the city, it's not a big it's a big deal because it's going to be more expensive, but it's not a big deal because for the businesses that are oh my, they'll just go up the road to my competitor who's outside the city and they won't have to pay a tax. Yeah. So it's it has to be everywhere if it's going to be somewhere. But also, again, I think the 3 cents an ounce is really expensive and really kind of hits home on, families that don't have a ton of money and they buy juices and stuff like that. So I'm for it, but I'm only for it if it's a national tax on it and not insane. You know, not not no 3 cents an ounce. Like, that's ridiculous. So, but yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think it would, like, I mean, 3 cents an ounce is a lot.
I think it's like with the cigarette industry. They're looking for ways to tax people. Well, I guess it's actually not. That's an unfair comparison because this would be something that would be affecting everybody within Philadelphia or Pennsylvania.
No, just in Philly.
Oh, just in Philly.
Just that's the whole problem. Like, if you're like,
cigarettes
businesses would go, people like that are just outside the city limits would be like, oh, I'm just not going to shop in that other store anymore because I can go up the street and get my business elsewhere because I won't have to pay like 2 or 3 times the price for that soda. That's the thing.
You know, people will. If it gets pushed through, I mean, you know, people just might. You're right. They might just start shopping somewhere else. It's like drive a little farther outside the city.
But that's only for the people that live on the fringe, right? People in the thick of the city aren't going to like get in there. Like, I need 2 liter bottles, so I'm going to drive outside the city to get it.
Yeah,
like,
I guess not. It's just convenience versus. Well, still, I'm sure they'll make their voices heard. I mean, nobody wants to pay more taxes and.
Yeah, no,
and it doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, over the course.
Oh
of the year,
God, no, it is a lot. 3 cents an ounce that's a lot. If it was 0.3 cents or 0.03 cents an ounce, you know, maybe I don't know what that works out to be on like a 2 liter bottle of soda, but that's got to be a lot less than that. But yeah, and then some people are like, oh, well, that's just the government trying to take away our sugary drinks, like when New York tried to do it. But
well, yeah, I mean that was a big thing in New York, and people, not everybody, but a lot of people rebelled against it. I'm of the opinion that if somebody wants to go out and eat junk food and whatnot, you know, they should be able to. I mean, it's their personal decision. A child is governed by their parents. Parents should be telling them what he can and can't have. Although that's tricky too when your school cafeteria is selling you like
everything sugar.
And, you know,
yeah.
And there's vending machines paid for by the soda industry in the schools. There's definitely a conflict of interest there. But once you've hit a certain age, you should be allowed to decide, hey, what I want to do. If I want to eat junk food 24/7, then I can do that.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. I just and
that's on the extreme, of course.
It's tough, but you know, if you're gonna do the sugar thing, and you're gonna, you know, I don't know if it attacks other foods either. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, what about like a Snickers bar? That's a lot of sugar, or in the case of the Starburst, like. That's all sugar. Like, so why are we not going to tax that? Are we? I don't know, maybe they are.
What if I just want to eat just pure sugar? You know, is it might be affected? Or honey? I'll just start eating honey. So I'll just go raking.
Substitute everything with honey. Well, good luck because the bees are all dying off. So good luck finding one of those. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun.
Bees are on the what now?
I'm sorry, what?
Bees are on the what now?
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun chatting about marketing and how it's all a bunch of bull. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, man.
All right.
So wave bye-bye, Ava. Oh, there we go. Startled her. All right. Here we go. Let's finish this up.